There exists a form of weakness so subtle that most men mistake it for thought, so ordinary that it feels like choice, so constant that it becomes invisible. It is the negotiation, the internal argument, the silent bargaining that occurs between the part of you that decides and the part of you that resists. Most men believe they lack discipline. They do not. What they lack is singular authority over their own mind. They have become democracies when they need to be kingdoms. Consider this. You decide to wake at 5. The alarm sounds. Immediately, a voice emerges. / 5 more minutes won't hurt. / You negotiate. You bargain. You construct rational arguments for delay. This is not weakness of will. This is abdication of command. You have allowed your mind to become a parliament where every impulse gets a vote. Miyamoto Musashi, the undefeated swordsman who killed his first man at 13 and walked the path of death for 30 years, understood something that modern men have forgotten. He wrote in the Book of 5 Rings, / Do not let the body be dragged along by the mind. Do not let the mind be dragged along by the body, / But there is a deeper principle beneath this, one he demonstrated but rarely spoke directly. The principle of no negotiation. When Musashi decided to strike, he struck. When he decided to wait, he waited. There was no internal committee, no debate, no pause for reconsideration. Decision and action were the same event. This was not discipline as we understand it today, forced compliance through willpower. This was something else entirely. This was command without resistance, authority without argument. Most men do not recognize they are negotiating because the negotiation feels like thinking. It masquerades as reason. You tell yourself you are being flexible, adaptive, listening to your body. You are not. You are being overruled by the part of you that seeks comfort, that fears discomfort, that will construct elaborate justifications to avoid what you have already decided to do. Let us examine a man. Call him Adam. Adam is 28. He works in finance. He earns well. From the outside, his life appears structured, successful, moving forward. But inside, there is chaos. Not loud chaos, quiet chaos. The chaos of constant internal negotiation. Every morning, Adam sets his alarm for 5:30 a.m. He has a plan. Exercise, cold shower, focused work before anyone else wakes. This plan is good, intelligent. It would work. But Adam never executes it as written because between decision and action, negotiation enters. The alarm sounds. Immediately, / I only slept 6 hours. My body needs rest. I'll wake at 6 instead, / He negotiates. He wins the negotiation against himself. At 6, another alarm. Another negotiation. / Traffic will be lighter at 7 anyway. 1 more hour, / He loses the morning before he leaves bed. At work, he decides to avoid social media until lunch. By 9:47 a.m., he has checked it 4 times. Each time, a negotiation occurred. / Just one quick look, / I need a mental break, / This might be important, / Each justification is reasonable in isolation. Together, they reveal the pattern. Adam does not command himself. He persuades himself, and persuasion can always be counter-persuaded. Lunch arrives. Adam has meal-prepped chicken and vegetables, but his colleagues order Thai food. The negotiation begins, / I've been good all week. 1 meal won't hurt. I'll eat clean at dinner, / He orders pad thai. At dinner, another negotiation. At night, he plans to read for 30 minutes before bed. He watches YouTube for 90. Each time he negotiates. Each time he loses. This is not exceptional. This is ordinary. Adam is not weak. He is average. And average men have become negotiators of their own existence. The cost is not visible in a single day. 1 extra hour of sleep does not ruin you. 1 skipped workout changes nothing. 1 pad thai, 1 social media check, 1 episode instead of reading, none of these individually matter. But Adam is not making one decision. He is establishing a pattern. He is training his mind that decisions are suggestions, that commands can be debated, that the self is a negotiation rather than a hierarchy. Over months, this pattern becomes personality. Adam begins to think of himself as undisciplined, but this is incorrect. Discipline implies resistance overcome. Adam never reaches resistance because he renegotiates before encountering it. He is not fighting himself, he is in constant settlement talks. The emotional toll is severe but subtle. Adam feels a low-grade self-disgust. Not dramatic, not debilitating, just a constant background awareness that he is not the man he could be, that he is capable of more but cannot access it. He makes plans with genuine intent and watches himself abandon them. This creates a strange split. Adam the planner is competent, intelligent, ambitious. Adam the executor is unreliable, compromised, weak. He begins to distrust himself. Then something breaks. Adam is passed over for promotion. The reason given is vague. Not quite ready for that level of responsibility. But Adam knows the truth. He knows he has been arriving late, delivering work at the last moment, appearing slightly disheveled, slightly behind. His manager has noticed the same thing Adam has been negotiating around. He cannot be trusted to do what he says he will do. That night, sitting alone, Adam recognizes something. He does not have a discipline problem. He has an authority problem. He has allowed his mind to become a democracy where every impulse, every comfort-seeking voice, every rationalization gets equal weight to his conscious decision. He has been governing himself through consensus. And consensus with the self is paralysis. He begins to research. Discipline, willpower, self-control. The content is familiar. Set goals, build habits, find motivation. None of it addresses the core issue. Then he encounters Musashi, not the legend, not the myth, the principle. In the Book of 5 Rings, Musashi writes, "You must research this well, ". But in Dakodo, his final work written days before death, the language changes. It becomes absolute, accept everything just the way it is, do not seek pleasure for its own sake, do not, under any circumstances, depend on a partial feeling, These are not suggestions. They are commands, and they contain no room for negotiation. Musashi's life reflected this. At age 13, he fought Arima Kihei, a samurai of the Shinto-ryu school. Musashi won and killed him. He did not negotiate about whether to fight. He did not construct arguments about his youth, his inexperience, the danger. He decided to fight. Therefore, he fought. Decision and action were unified. At age 21, Musashi fought the Yoshioka School, the most prestigious sword school in Kyoto. He killed the head of the school in the first duel. The school demanded a rematch. He killed the second brother. They demanded a third match with the youngest brother, age 12, supported by armed men. Musashi arrived early, ambushed them, killed the boy, and fought through dozens of armed retainers. This was not honorable by contemporary standards. It was effective. Musashi made no negotiation between survival and honor. He decided his priority. He executed it. This continued for 30 years and over 60 duels. Undefeated not because of superior technique alone, though his technique was exceptional, but because of unified mind. When Musashi decided, he was already moving. There was no gap for doubt, for reconsideration, for the voice that says maybe wait or perhaps another approach, Adam recognizes something in this. Musashi did not operate through discipline as modern men understand it, grinding willpower, forcing compliance. He operated through instant obedience to his own command. The decision was the action. There was no negotiation phase. Adam decides to test this. One rule, simple, immediate. When he decides something, he moves within 3 seconds. No debate, no reconsideration, no let me just Decision to action, 3 seconds maximum. The first test comes the next morning. Alarm at 5:30. The familiar voice begins, backslash, you went to bed late maybe, backslash. Adam moves, feet hit floor. The negotiation is cut off mid-sentence. He stands, the discomfort is intense. His body wants to return to bed. His mind constructs arguments. He ignores them. He is already walking to the bathroom. Cold shower. He turns the dial. The voice emerges. Backslash, start with warm, then backslash. Water hits, cold, shocking. Every part of him recoils. The negotiation starts. Backslash, this is unnecessary, you could, backslash. He stays under the water. 30 seconds. The voice continues, but he is no longer listening. He is obeying the command given before the water started. This is not discipline. Discipline implies resistance. Adam is establishing something different. Unquestioned authority. He is training his mind that decisions are not discussions. At work, he decides not to check his phone until 10 a.m. At 9:17, his hand reaches for it automatically. The negotiation begins. Backslash, just one quick, backslash. He stops. Hand returns to keyboard. The discomfort is surprising. Not physical, psychological. The part of him that seeks comfort is confused, then frustrated, then quiet. Lunch. Colleagues order food. The negotiation starts. Backslash, you could just, backslash. Adam opens his meal prep, eats it. The discomfort is social now. He must explain. He must justify. But he recognizes this too is negotiation. He offers no explanation. He simply eats what he decided to eat. The first day is exhausting. Not physically, mentally. Adam realizes how much energy he has been spending on internal negotiation. Every decision was followed by a counter-argument, a reassessment, a bargaining session. By removing this, he frees enormous mental bandwidth. But he also removes a familiar comfort, the illusion of flexibility, because that is what negotiation provides. It feels like wisdom, like adaptability, like listening to yourself. But for Adam, it has been none of those things. It has been the mechanism by which comfort overrules purpose. The second day is harder. The novelty is gone. At 5:30, the alarm sounds. The voice is stronger now. Backslash, you proved the point yesterday. You can ease up today. This rigid approach isn't sustainable. Backslash. The argument is sophisticated, reasonable. Adam recognizes it as negotiation. Feet hit floor. Throughout the day, the negotiations become more elaborate. Backslash, you're being too extreme. Balance is important. Rigidity is its own weakness. Backslash. These are good arguments, perhaps true arguments. But Adam has committed to something. For 30 days, no negotiation. He will reassess after. But during this period, decision is law. The pattern becomes clear. Every comfort-seeking impulse is preceded by a rational justification. The negotiation never says backslash, I want to be weak, backslash. It says backslash, this is actually wiser, backslash. It never says backslash, I want to avoid discomfort, backslash. It says backslash, you're being unnecessarily rigid, backslash. The voice of negotiation always sounds like wisdom. It must, or it would have no power. By day 7, something shifts. The negotiations still occur, but they are quieter, less persistent. The part of Adam's mind that has been arguing recognizes that arguments are not being heard. It begins to quiet, not because it is defeated, but because it learns. This is not a negotiation. At day 14, Adam encounters real resistance. He has committed to a workout. He feels genuinely unwell. Slight fever. Body ache. The negotiation begins. Backslash, this is different. This is actual illness. Rest is wise here, backslash. And this negotiation is correct. Genuine illness requires rest. But Adam recognizes a deeper pattern. He cannot tell the difference between true need and sophisticated justification. His internal voice has been unreliable for years. It has cried wolf too many times. He works out, light, modified, but he does it. Perhaps this is unwise. Perhaps he should have rested. But he is training something more important than optimal recovery. He is training non-negotiation. He is establishing that once decided, he moves. His body can adapt. His mind must learn obedience first. This is the dangerous part, the part where principles become rigid rules that harm. But Adam has set a time limit, 30 days. He is not establishing permanent rigidity. He is breaking permanent negotiation. The pendulum has been stuck on one side, constant bargaining. He is forcing it to the other side, absolute command, so it can eventually settle in the center. By day 20, the internal negotiation is minimal. Not gone, but quiet. When the alarm sounds, Adam moves. There is a split-second pause, the space where negotiation used to live, but it is empty now. His body simply obeys the command given the night before. At work, his colleagues notice. He is earlier, more focused. They cannot identify what changed, but something has. Adam can identify it. He is spending zero energy on internal debate. Every decision is made once, then executed. The mental clarity this provides is profound. He also notices something else. His decisions have improved. When he knew he could renegotiate later, his initial decisions were loose, aspirational, untested by reality. Now, knowing he will obey whatever he decides more carefully. The decision carries weight because it will be enacted. This forces more honest assessment up front. Day 30 arrives. Adam assesses. The principle has worked, but he recognizes the danger. This cannot be permanent absolutism. Some flexibility is necessary. Some negotiation is wisdom. The question is, how does he maintain command without becoming rigid? He modifies the principle. Decisions can be remade, but not in the moment of resistance. If he decides to wake at 5:30 and wants to change this, he must decide the night before, in a calm state, for considered reasons. But at 5:30, when the alarm sounds, there is no negotiation. He is simply executing the decision already made. This distinction is critical. It preserves adaptability while eliminating in-the-moment rationalization. The voice of comfort can no longer hijack decisions during the moment of resistance. Changes require deliberate reassessment, not spontaneous bargaining. 6 months pass. Adam has been promoted, not directly because of non-negotiation, but because of everything non-negotiation enabled. He arrives early. He completes difficult work first. He maintains commitments to himself and others. His manager notices reliability, consistency, the quality of someone whose word, even to himself, means something. But the deeper change is internal. Adam no longer experiences the split between planner and executor. When he decides something, he trusts it will happen. This sounds minor. It is not. Most men live with constant low-level distrust of themselves. They make plans they half believe they will follow. They set standards they assume they will compromise. This creates psychological fragmentation. Adam is unified now. Decision is action. The gap has closed. This produces a particular kind of confidence. Not loud, not performative, but structural. He knows that if he decides something is necessary, it will occur. This changes what he is willing to attempt. He starts a business on the side. Previously, he would have negotiated this away. / not the right time. Need more preparation. Maybe next year, / Now, he decides it is time. Therefore, it is time. The business begins. It will succeed or fail based on market realities, but it will not fail because Adam negotiated himself out of necessary actions. Relationships change too. His girlfriend notices he has become more present, less distracted. He has not become perfect, but he has become singular. When he commits to something, a conversation, a date, a task, he is fully there. The part of him that used to negotiate for partial attention, for / just checking this, / for divided focus, has quieted. She does not know the mechanism, but she feels the result. Reliability. Not rigid inflexibility, but reliable presence. When Adam says he will do something, it happens. This sounds basic. It is rare. The principle extends beyond action into thought. Adam notices he has stopped negotiating about his goals, his values, his standards. Previously, he would set a standard, /I do not eat processed food /, then immediately begin constructing exceptions, /, unless it is social, unless it is convenient, unless I really want it /. The standard became meaningless because it was always up for negotiation. Now, when he sets a standard, he maintains it until he deliberately changes it. If he decides he no longer wants that standard, he changes it consciously, in a calm moment, for clear reasons. But he does not bargain with it in the moment of temptation. The standard is law until formally revised. This creates something Musashi would recognize. A code. Not a code imposed from outside, but a code established by the self, for the self, enforced by the self. Musashi's Dakodo, the path of aloneness walked, is 21 such precepts. Never stray from the way /. Do not hold on to possessions you no longer need /. Do not act following customary beliefs /. These are not suggestions. They are laws Musashi gave himself, and he followed them because he was both the lawmaker and the enforcer, with no negotiation between. Adam begins to understand why most self-improvement fails. It fails because it treats the self as a democracy. Listen to yourself. Honor your feelings. Be flexible /. These are fine principles for a society. They are fatal for internal governance. The self cannot be a democracy because the parts of the self have different agendas. The part that seeks comfort will always outvote the part that seeks growth. The part that fears will always outvote the part that dares. The self must be a kingdom, not a tyranny that is rigidity without wisdom, but a kingdom where one voice decides and the others obey. That deciding voice must be trained, must be wise, must be challenged and improved. But once it decides, the debate ends. Modern psychology recoils from this. It sounds authoritarian, repressive, harmful to the inner child that must be heard and validated. But Adam has discovered something. His inner child is a tyrant, not occasionally, constantly. It demands immediate gratification, throws tantrums at discomfort, and constructs elaborate justifications for why discipline is actually harmful. By honoring it, he has been letting it govern, and it has governed badly. By establishing command, kind command, but absolute command, he has freed the mature part of himself to lead. The childish part still exists. It still wants comfort, but it no longer decides. It can want. It cannot overrule. This distinction is crucial. Musashi did not eliminate desire. He fought for money. He sought fame. He enjoyed women. But desire did not command him. He commanded desire. When it served his purpose, he indulged it. When it did not, he ignored it. Desire was a servant, not a master. Adam practices this. At a party, he wants a drink. The old pattern. Complex negotiation about whether this want should be honored, whether one drink is acceptable, whether he is being too rigid. The new pattern. Simple assessment. Does this drink serve his current purposes? No. Then he does not drink. The want remains. He does not fight it or judge it, but he does not obey it. This is the part modern men miss. They believe strength means eliminating wants. It does not. Strength means wants do not command. You can want something intensely and not do it. You cannot want something intensely and do it anyway. The want and the action are separate. The will decides. The body obeys. At 12 months, Adam barely recognizes his former self. Not because his life has changed dramatically, though it has improved substantially, but because his internal experience has transformed. He used to feel fractured, like 3 or 4 people with competing agendas trapped in one body. Now he feels singular, unified. When he decides something, every part of him moves in that direction. There is resistance sometimes, but no rebellion, no internal coup. He realizes this is what Musashi meant by the body of a rock, not rigid, not unfeeling, but unified, solid, impossible to split. A rock does not negotiate with gravity, with water, with pressure. It simply is what it is, fully, completely. Musashi cultivated this in himself, complete unity of purpose. When he fought, every part of him fought. When he painted, every part of him painted. When he wrote, every part of him wrote. There was no divided attention, no internal committee, no part of him arguing for something else. This is the highest form of strength, not the strength to overcome resistance, that is common. The strength to eliminate internal resistance entirely, to create such unity of purpose that when you decide, you are already moving, because every part of you is aligned. Most men never reach this. They spend their entire lives negotiating with themselves, constructing elaborate justifications, seeking balance between competing desires. They die having never commanded themselves, never established singular authority over their own mind and body. They were democracies until the end, with every decision subject to committee review, every commitment open for renegotiation. Adam has learned what Musashi knew. Freedom does not come from honoring every impulse. It comes from establishing clear command. The impulses remain. They always will, but they do not govern. The conscious, chosen self governs. The impulses are felt, acknowledged, and either used or dismissed based on whether they serve the chosen direction. This is not repression. Repression is pretending the impulses do not exist, forcing them underground where they sabotage from below. This is hierarchy. The impulses exist. They are seen, but they do not command. Like soldiers in an army, they can offer information, signal danger, provide input, but they do not determine strategy. They do not overrule command. When Adam encounters difficulty now, and he still does, the experience is different. Previously, difficulty triggered negotiation. Maybe this is not the right path. Maybe I should try something else. Maybe I am forcing something that should not be forced. Now, difficulty is simply information. It signals that more effort is required, or better strategy, or different tactics. But it does not trigger existential reassessment. He decided this path for reasons that remain valid. Therefore, he continues. Difficulty is not a reason to renegotiate the mission. It is part of the mission. This is what separated Musashi from other swordsmen. All of them trained hard. All of them faced fear. But Musashi had eliminated internal negotiation. When he entered a duel, there was no part of him arguing for retreat, constructing reasons to delay, suggesting alternatives. He had decided to fight. Therefore, he fought. Completely, absolutely, with every part of himself unified in the action. His opponents felt this. It is recorded in accounts of his duels. They described him as overwhelming, not because of physical power, but because of complete commitment. When Musashi moved, he moved entirely. There was no hesitation, no internal debate visible in micro-expressions, no energy wasted on internal conflict. This gave him a psychological advantage before the first strike. His opponents could feel they were facing someone unified, someone who had no doubt, and doubt is fatal in combat. Adam finds this applies beyond combat. In business negotiations, his lack of internal negotiation gives him power. He has decided his minimum acceptable terms. He does not waver. The other party senses this. They feel they are negotiating with someone who will walk away rather than compromise his standard. This is not aggression. It is solidity, and solidity has leverage. In relationships, the same principle. Adam has decided what kind of partner he wants to be. Faithful, present, honest. These are not negotiable. When temptation arises, and it does, there is no internal debate. He has already decided. The temptation is felt, acknowledged, dismissed. It takes 3 seconds. Previously, it would have taken hours of internal negotiation, weighing options, constructing justifications. That negotiation was exhausting, and it often led to compromise. His girlfriend, now fiancée, trusts him completely, not because he is perfect, but because he is predictable. He means what he says. His commitments are reliable. This did not happen because he became more moral. It happened because he became more unified. The part of him that makes commitments and the part of him that keeps them are the same part now. There is no gap between them. This is rare. Most people are multiple selves. The morning self makes commitments the evening self breaks. The sober self makes standards the drunk self ignores. The ambitious self makes plans the comfortable self abandons. They are not one person. They are a committee with no permanent chairman. Adam has become one person. The self that decides and the self that acts are unified. This creates integrity, not in the moral sense, though that follows, but in the structural sense. He has structural integrity. He is whole, undivided. He still makes mistakes. He still fails. But his failures are different now. They are not failures of commitment. They are failures of strategy, of skill, of circumstance. He decides to do something, does it, and it does not work. That is simple failure. Clean, easy to learn from. Previously, his failures were failures of follow-through. He decided to do something, negotiated himself out of it, then faced the consequences. Those failures were complicated, shameful, hard to learn from because the lesson was always the same. I did not do what I said I would do, Musashi wrote, in strategy, your spiritual bearing must not be any different from normal. Both in fighting and in everyday life, you should be determined though calm, This is the state Adam has cultivated. Determined though calm. The determination is absolute. The calmness comes from not fighting himself. He is not using discipline to force compliance. He is expressing unity. The part that decides and the part that acts are the same. Therefore, there is no internal conflict. Therefore, calmness. People ask Adam how he changed. He struggles to explain. I stopped negotiating sounds trivial, but it is the deepest change he has made. It restructured his entire relationship with himself. He moved from internal democracy to internal monarchy, from committee to command, from negotiation to law. Some people hear this as rigidity. They warn him about burnout, about the importance of flexibility, about listening to your body. He understands their concern, but he has discovered something they have not. Most people are so far on the side of negotiation that they cannot conceive of the other side. They are drowning in flexibility. Every decision is provisional. Every commitment is negotiable. They call this wisdom. It is chaos. Adam has swung to the other side, firm command, and found it liberating. Not because rigidity is inherently good, but because he was so thoroughly destabilized by negotiation that solidity feels like freedom. He will likely moderate over time, incorporating some flexibility back. But he had to go extreme to break the pattern. The pendulum was stuck. He had to force it to swing. Musashi did the same. For 30 years, he lived by absolute principles. No compromise, no negotiation. Then, in his final years, having established complete mastery, he softened slightly. He painted, he wrote, he taught. But this softening was safe because the foundation was unshakable. He could afford flexibility because he had built rigidity first. Most men try to build flexibility first. They try to be adaptive, balanced, moderate from the beginning. They fail because flexibility without foundation is instability. You must be rigid first, master command first. Then, from that mastery, you can introduce nuance. But if you start with nuance, you get chaos. Adam understands this now. For years, he tried to be balanced, to honor all parts of himself, to negotiate fairly between his desires and his goals. It produced nothing but confusion and self-disgust. Now, having established command, having proven he can control himself absolutely, he can begin to reintroduce flexibility safely. But the foundation is command, always command. The final shift is identity. Adam no longer thinks of himself as disciplined. Discipline implies effort. He thinks of himself as unified, as someone whose word, to himself and others, means something, as someone who decides and acts as one motion. This is not about effort or strength. It is about structure, about being one person instead of many. When people comment on his discipline, he corrects them internally. He is not disciplined. Discipline is for people still fighting themselves. He is unified. The fight is over, not because he won, but because he ended the negotiation. There are no longer two sides. There is one self, deciding, acting, living. This is what Musashi meant by the way of strategy being the way of life. It is not about fighting. It is about unity of being. The warrior does not fight externally without fighting internally first. But the goal is not to win the internal fight. The goal is to end it, to create such complete command that there is no fight. Decision is action. Intent is result. The gap closes. Weak men negotiate. They bargain with themselves. They construct elaborate justifications for why they cannot do what they know they should. They die having never commanded themselves, having spent their entire lives in committee with their own impulses. Warriors decide. One voice, one direction, no negotiation. When Musashi decided to fight, he was already moving. When he decided to strike, the sword was already descending. There was no gap between decision and action where doubt could enter, where comfort could argue, where fear could negotiate. Adam has learned this. He is not Musashi. He is not undefeated in 60 duels, but he has become undefeated against himself. And that victory, that singular, internal victory, has made everything else possible. The negotiation is over. Command remains.